To prepare to upload the sketch, we will once again connect our Arduino, and you'll see again you've got the power light, and now we can load up examples, basics, digital read serial. So this sketch will upload, once we've uploaded it, it will detect when you press the button and display whether it's pressed or not on the serial monitor. Now the serial monitor you can access using this button here. So first of all, we'll upload the sketch to the Arduino. We get our message saying that it's compiling, and then our transmit and receive pins, LEDs will light up briefly, and then our sketch is uploaded. So now we can open up the serial monitor. So the serial monitor is used to see what information is being sent back from the Arduino to the computer. So in this case, when the button is not pressed, we get a 0 or low value. So that shows that our pull down resistor is working. And then when we press the button, it goes to 1. So that shows that we have a successful connection to our button. So when I let go, it goes to 0, and when I press, it goes to 1. Now again, if that's not what you see, you can double check your connections, so make sure that everything is connected in the right order, and that you have the correct connections in the correct rows. Let's have a look now at how the sketch actually works. Or if you'd like, you can do a little bit more pressing of the button. Then we can look at how the sketch works. So again, the start of the sketch has a comment telling you what the sketch does. Then we define a variable called push button, which is given the value of 2, and that's because we've connected our push button to digital pin 2. Then to set up our sketch, first of all, we have to initialize the serial connection. So that says this is how fast I'm going to talk from my Arduino to my computer. And then we also need to say that this pin 2 is going to be used as an input and not as an output. So when we're using an LED and we're controlling something, we mark the pin as an output. When we're using it as an input and reading the state of something, then we need to configure it as an input. Then we move into the loop, and in this section we see a new function that we haven't seen before, which is the digital read function. So what this does is it reads the state of one of the digital inputs and returns either a value for high, or 1, or low, or 0. And then we store that into a variable called button state. So if the button is pressed, then digital read will return a value of 1. And so the button state will be 1. And then if it's not pressed, then it will store the value of 0. This means that when we come to here, we say serial, so this says we want to put this output back to the computer, print ln, which is short for print line because they wanted to save a couple of characters, and then the value of the pin that we read before. So if the button is pressed, then it will show a 1, and if it's not pressed, it will show a 0. And then we have a brief delay here so that it gives it time for the reading to settle. It's not really too important to know that, but just know that sometimes you get a better result if you have a fraction of a second delay in there. So again, we can look in how the sketch functions. Let's open up our serial monitor again. So at this stage, the button isn't pressed, and so in this loop here, we're saying digital read and getting back a value of 0. And then we're printing that value and printing a new line as well. So the ln just means that it's going to print the output and then move on to a new line for the next piece of output. Then when we press the button, it changes to a 1, and that's because it's reading in the digital read value of 1 and then printing that out to the screen. So, congratulations, you now have your sketch working where you're taking some input from the real world and recording that result on your computer. Now, let's look at the next section where we're going to use the push button to control our LED.